You know, people like to joke about how messed up it is that some cereal mascots basically act like tweaked out druggies. But dude, you know what the most messed up cereal mascot is? Is the Lucky Charms leprechaun. He's an Irish immigrant being chased by a lynch mob of American children so they can steal his belongings.
Yikes! We got you now, Lucky! Give up the charms, Lucky!
Hey man, I don't think those charms are that lucky. Your whole life is spent on the run trying to escape. To be clear, it's not like trick cereal where the kids are chasing the rabbit because the rabbit stole their cereal.
Coming through!
Stop that rabbit! He's got our tricks!
Those kids are just taking back what's rightfully theirs. With Lucky the Leprechaun, the kids are making it very clear that they're stealing his Lucky Charms. And sometimes his gold too.
Give us your gold and your Lucky Charms!
We got you now, Lucky. Thought you could get away from us, huh? Hand over the Lucky Charms and the gold.
Okay, please, just don't hurt me.
Welcome to America, you stupid elf. Don't like it? Go back to England.
Actually, I'm from Ireland.
Man, do I look like I give a shit where you're from? You could be from Wakanda for all I care, you little green turd. Give me that hat, too. Yeah, that fit is right. Well, this was fun. Same time next week. Come on, guys, let's go eat this cereal. They really are magically delicious. Stealing used to be a popular theme in ad campaigns. Cookie Crisp had criminals trying to steal cookies, Fruity Pebbles had Barney trying to steal Fred's Pebbles. Theft was rampant back then. I guess it makes sense. They do say the crime rate used to be a lot higher. And of course, one of the most famous thief characters of all time was the Hamburglar from McDonald's. But did you know that Grimace was also a thief at one point? Yes, folks, Grimace started off as a monster who stole milkshakes before he was turned into a more friendly character because a bunch of wussy children were scared of him. And of course, Grimace was launched into the spotlight of the public discourse recently when the Grimace shake trend went viral on TikTok, and that got me thinking about how lame of a mascot Grimace really is. And then I started thinking, is Grimace the worst food mascot of all time? So in today's episode of my series, Talkin' Topics, definitely not going to keep that name, but that's what it's called for now. I thought we could look back on some of the worst food mascots, both past and present, to determine whether Grimace is the worst food mascot of all time. Now I say food mascots, but I'm including drink mascots as well. So in order to accurately determine the badness of food mascots, I spent many minutes devising a revolutionary new rating system that I call the 5 Dimensions of Badness. It's composed of 5 criteria that have been scientifically proven to contribute the mostest to a mascot's badness. Those 5 criteria are irrelevant, boring, annoying, creepy, and uncreative. So I'm going to explore each of these dimensions and see if Grimace is the worst in any or all of them. Now, first off, any good food mascot should have at least some relevance to the food they're representing. Even food mascots with a low degree of relevance usually have at least a tenuous connection to the food. Look at Ronald McDonald. As far as I know, clowns aren't related to hamburgers in any way. Although now that I think about it, there are a lot fewer clowns these days and a lot more hamburgers. But Ronald's design at least has the ketchup red and mustard yellow colors of the logo. Some food mascots have a medium level of relevance, like the Little Caesars guy. Caesar was a Roman general. Rome, Italy. Pizza's an Italian dish. Some mascots have a high level of relevance to the food, in some cases to a disturbing degree, like when a meat product has a mascot who is the animal you're eating. I'm not sure which version of this is more disturbing. When the mascot gives you a thumbs up, like they're giving you approval to eat their own kind, or when they aren't even looking at you because they're the ones cooking and eating their own kind. By the way, I love the name Famous Dave's. Shouldn't the food be the famous thing? The name makes it sound like Dave himself is famous. Like you go to the restaurant and Dave Bautista is in the back kitchen. So where does Grimace rank on the irrelevant scale? Well, if we're gonna gauge Grimace's relevance to McDonald's food, we first have to explore the question that has plagued humanity for decades. What the f is this thing? There's been a few official statements from McDonald's itself. In 2012, the company tweeted, "Grimace is the embodiment of a milkshake," which is weird because for a long time, I did think maybe he was a milkshake, but like, why did I think that? He isn't shaped like a milkshake, and none of the standard milkshakes are purple. So why did I think he might be a milkshake? Did McDonald's inception into my dreams and plant that belief into my head? I guess if you look at Grimace upside down, he's kind of shaped like a milkshake cup. So I suppose, and I apologize for saying this, but you could theoretically flip Grimace upside down and suck his innards out of his Grimace hole. But as we see in the ads, Grimace drinks milkshakes. So he drinks milkshakes, but he also is a milkshake. So he's basically like a milkshake conduit. The milkshakes just go in one end and then go out the other, which is kind of cool because that would mean if there was a group of Grimaces, they could feed by stacking on top of each other and having one milkshake drip down through all of them. Or if they formed a circle and sucked it out of each other, they could have one milkshake cycling through them infinitely and just never go hungry. I'd love to see that in a commercial. Like Ronald McDonald comes to visit Grimace. "Hey Grimace, we're going to McDonald's. Wanna come?" "I'll come back later." What do you call a group of grimaces anyway? A herd of grimaces? A flock? A grunt? I feel like it's grunt. A grunt of grimaces. I don't know why. That just feels right. McDonald's expanded on their initial statement a couple years later in 2014 when they tweeted, Grimace lore says he is the embodiment of a milkshake or a taste bud. A milkshake or a taste bud? Bro, those are two completely different things. Grimace is either a milkshake or a skyscraper. One McDonald's franchise manager said in 2021 that Grimace is an enormous taste bud. Okay, so the narrative has been slowly shifting from milkshake to taste bud. I don't know if I buy the taste bud thing. It sounds like something they made up just to get people to stop asking what Grimace is. What's Grimace? Yeah, what is he? What is Grimace supposed to be? What is Grimace? What is he? What is Grimace? I don't know. He's a taste bud, okay? Grimace is an enormous taste bud. Then why is he purple? Yeah, why is he purple? Why is he purple? Why is he purple? Why is he purple? Then to add to the confusion, the former McDonald's vice president of advertising simply called Grimace a blob. So clearly, there's no agreement within McDonald's itself. Maybe they've tried to hold meetings to decide what Grimace is, but they just keep devolving into fights. I mean, I guess these aren't the worst answers in the world. It would be freaky if McDonald's came out and said, Grimace is a man, a human man, or at least he used to be. He's more taste bud now than man. Some people over the years have thought Grimace was a chicken nugget. Bro, you ever seen a chicken nugget that looked like this? The only other clue to Grimace's nature that I'm aware of is that McDonald's celebrated his birthday, which means that Grimace was, in fact, born. He didn't grow out of the ground like a plant. He wasn't discovered in a tomb. But that's all I've got. Given that the information about Grimace is both scarce and inconsistent, it's impossible to determine what exactly he is. He's just a big old question mark. In fact, I think the question mark itself should be replaced by a tiny grimace on all text-based communication devices. So going forward, whenever you type a question, you have to end the question with a little grimace punctuation mark instead of a question mark. These are my demands. I think they are quite reasonable. So, since we can't determine what Grimace actually is, he cannot technically be the worst on the irrelevant dimension. So which food mascot is the worst on the irrelevant dimension? Well, folks, I gotta give this one to none other than Diggum the Frog from Honey Smacks cereal.
Diggum boing, diggum boing, diggum whoa, Kellogg's Smacks.
Look, man, either the frog has to relate to the cereal or the cereal has to relate to the frog. Why is the mascot a frog? Frogs don't eat honey. They don't make a smack sound. If you had called the cereal Honey Croaks, I'd have no complaints. Why is his name Diggum? Why not name him Smacky? No, I understand he's named Diggum because he digs the cereal.
Smacks, I dig 'em.
I'm saying that's not good enough for me. And why is his catchphrase honey smackin' good? The catchphrase is a perfect opportunity to build a bridge between Frogland and Cereal Land. Why not make it like, I'm hopping for Honey Smacks, or Honey Smacks is the best. Other cereals? Forget about it. Look, I'm not saying these are good catchphrases, I'm just saying they're at least connected to the fact that the mascot is a frog. Now, boring isn't the worst thing for a food mascot to be, but if you're trying to get people excited about your food, and especially if you're trying to appeal to kids, having a mascot who isn't boring is what people in the business call PDI. Pretty dang important. And when it comes to Grimace, I think his boringness is self-evident. First of all, his appearance is boring. He has no hair, no accessories, no clothing whatsoever. He doesn't even really have a thing like the other McDonald Land characters do. The Hamburglar steals hamburgers. Birdie is the early bird to represent the breakfast menu. Grimace likes milkshakes, but it's not even like he only drinks milkshakes. He eats other food too. But I gotta give it to the guy. He tries to not be boring. There's clips of this dude dancing his ass off at parties. In some cases, he dances so hard he has to be reined in. You have to hand it to the guy. He puts in the work, and sometimes he puts in the twerk. And yet the most common reaction that Grimace seems to be able to elicit is one of mild interest. I mean, it's kind of crazy that there could be a 6-foot-tall, naked, purple dancing creature in the room and no one cares that much. Compared to his McDonald's colleagues, he just doesn't seem to inspire quite the same enthusiasm. Unfortunately, Grimace has had to find out the hard way that you can't twerk your way into people's hearts. I get the feeling that Grimace sometimes gets frustrated with the lack of enthusiasm he generates. Sometimes it almost seems like his frustration reaches a boiling point and he just lashes out at people. So yes, Grimace is boring, but of all the food mascots out there, I don't think he quite takes the cake for most boring. If nothing else, the fact that he has generated so much confusion and debate over the years is itself kind of interesting. No, I think my winner for this dimension is a mascot that I'm not actually sure if anyone is going to be familiar with, but when I was a teenager, I worked at a grocery store for several years, and in the organic aisle, we had a cereal called Orangutan O's. Now, did it make me furious that the cereal was called Orangutan O's instead of orangutans? Yes, it did. But after many years and lots of therapy, I've made peace with that fact. However, what I haven't made peace with is the incredibly boring mascot on the box, which, as you can probably deduce, was an orangutan. Well, 2 orangutans, but I consider the big guy to be the main mascot. I only remember the cereal box because it was such a fixture in my life working at that grocery store. I saw these orangutans more than I saw some of my own family members. It had no personality, it didn't have a fun name, it didn't have a catchphrase, it didn't speak. The art style wasn't even cartoony. It looked like an illustration that you would see on a sign at a zoo. It was just a straight up orangutan that stared at you.
Hi. How's it going?
Oh, hey. Are you gonna start jumping around and going crazy for the cereal like the other cereal mascots do?
No, I just want to watch you eat.
Oh. Do you have a silly name?
My name is Jerry.
Do you have a fun catchphrase like, I'm bananas for orangutanos?
Well, I guess I'd like to say that I hope you're having a nice day.
How about your kid?
Oh, this is Jerry Jr. Hi, I'm Jerry Jr. We just like to watch you eat.
Hey Jerry, I think I'm gonna go in another room.
Okay, I'll just be here, waiting, watching.
So where does Grimace rank on the annoying scale? At first glance, he might not seem annoying. His design is unremarkable, he's not hyperactive, he just kind of tags along with the other characters. However, even though McDonald's has never outright said this, I think it's fair to conclude that Grimace is supposed to be dumb. And the first clue to that is his voice.
Can I give him a hint? Ronald the Happy Meal isn't happy yet.
By the way, I feel like that particular version of the dumb guy voice was popular in kid shows before the 2000s, where characters would talk like this.
It's Hamburglar.
The alarm went off, George.
What do I know? I'm Batty. You'll see.
I mean, let's be real. No character with that voice is gonna say something smart.
I'm studying the gravitational effects of dark matter on the neutron stars.
But it's not just the voice. McDonald's made a point of establishing over many decades of commercials that Grimace was in fact a bumbling buffoon.
Ready, go! And they're off. It's Grimace spinning out of the turn-in French. He sure must want that McDonald's cheeseburger.
I hope I'm winning.
Okay, Grimace, let's start recording.
Okey-doke. Do you believe in magic? What's this? And I hope you do. Oops.
Ronald!
What's wrong?
Grimace was supposed to order 3 zillion Happy Meal toys 3 inches tall.
So?
Look!
Uh-oh, 3 Happy Meal toys a zillion inches tall.
Sorry.
So yes, he's dumb, but dumb is not necessarily annoying. However, in Grimace's case, his dumbness is often detrimental to others. And given that Grimace is likely the dumbest character in all of McDonald land, it's highly concerning that he's the one in charge of operating heavy machinery.
I'm making a delivery. Wanna come?
That's a great idea. Give Shake for Brains a giant vehicle so he can make even bigger screw-ups.
Hey, look, there's people in that city over there. Let's go say hi.
No, Grimace, we can't drive into the city. The vehicle's too big.
Let's go into the city.
Don't do it. Watch out for the people.
Hi, everybody.
Running people over.
Wow, humans have a lot of ketchup inside of them.
And he's not only dumb, he can also be kind of needy. You know how traditional restaurant mascots will walk over to your table to sing happy birthday to you?
Happy birthday to you.
Well, in an innovative twist on that formula, Grimace will walk over to your table so that you can sing happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday to you.
That is right. We are still celebrating Grimace's birthday.
So yes, I think it's fair to say that Grimace is annoying. Kind of amazing that he manages to be annoying and boring at the same time. But to say that he's the most annoying food mascot would be a stretch. No, folks, I think the most annoying food mascot of all time would have to be the Tootsie Pop Owl.
Mr. Owl, How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
A good question. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 3.
This commercial started all the way back in 1970 and I believe still airs to this day. So let's break down the annoyingness here. First of all, the kid raises a genuinely interesting question. It's not a question you'd ever consider on your own, but once the question has been raised, you gotta know the answer. And then you get tricked into thinking the owl is gonna give a real answer because he looks smart, he's got glasses, and as we all know, only smart people wear glasses. And then he eats the freaking lollipop. He's also wearing what looks like a graduation cap for some reason. I guess he just graduated from smart-ass university. Or I don't know, maybe he ate the Tootsie Pop because he was just super hungry. Maybe he graduated from Hunger University, otherwise known as Whoo! It's an owl pun. I'm Owl Pundy. By the way, true story, one time several years ago, I was driving at night and an owl flew into my windshield. It was fine, I wasn't driving that fast. The owl just kind of crashed into the windshield and scraped around and then flew away. It's really not much of a story, I guess, but I just wanted to tell you that. You know, usually when something hits your windshield, it's small enough that you aren't even sure what it was. It's like clink, and you're like, what was that? Was it an acorn? When an owl hits your windshield, there's no uncertainty. It's like, boom, and you're like, that was a whole ass owl. It's interesting when something is unintentionally creepy, especially when it's made for kids. You just have to think, how did they not know this was creepy when they made it? If I was a kid and my parents brought this home for me, I'd be like, oh, my life is a horror movie now. I think it's more understandable when it's something from a long time ago because maybe it wasn't always obvious when stuff was creepy. In the same way that society had to learn what was and wasn't dangerous for kids through trial and error, maybe society also had to learn what was and wasn't creepy. With Grimace, even though he's no longer the terrifying cave monster he used to be, there is still a subtle creepiness about him, which is probably why this whole Grimace shake trend caught on. I can't pinpoint anything in particular about him that's creepy. It's just a gut feeling that something isn't right. You wouldn't want to be in a room alone with Grimace, you know? Like if this thing showed up by itself, my first thought wouldn't be, oh boy, something good is about to happen. Maybe it's the fact that it sometimes feels like he's staring into your soul, even though he doesn't have a soul. And then there's the way he leers at women. And yet, despite all that, he's not that creepy. I couldn't find any videos of kids being scared of Grimace the way that they're scared of Chuck E. Cheese, for example. No, I think the creepiest food mascot of all time would have to be Crinkles the Clown.
Breakfast! I'm hungry! Take it from Crinkles. That's me. The best breakfast under the big top is post-sugar rice Crinkles. Honey and sugar make it different and wonderful. A circus of fun to eat. So you crinkle on down to the store for post-sugar rice Crinkles.
That is a real commercial from the 1950s. Imagine how creepy that would have been at the time. This was from a time when TVs were just starting to become a common thing that people owned. Imagine you get this newfangled device called a TV and then suddenly this thing is in your home every night. You know how some people talk about Stephen King's It and they're like, oh, a clown who's scary? Where does Stephen King come up with these crazy ideas? Bro, clowns have been scary from the get-go. They never weren't scary. I mean, Grimace is kind of creepy, but this thing is on a whole other level. Crinkles actually triggers my fight or flight response. Grimace just triggers my fight response. I'm not really scared of him, I just kind of want to beat him with a baseball bat. You know, I keep saying he, but I guess there's really nothing about Grimace's design that makes a strong statement about his gender one way or the other. He doesn't have anything going on downstairs, at least that I've noticed. I guess I never really checked closely. Wait a minute, where's that?
Hello?
Ah! It's hard to deny the sheer lack of imagination in Grimace's character design. As we've already established, he isn't really anything. He's basically just a shape and a color. You could give him anything. I mean literally anything, and he would be more interesting. This is like a preschooler's drawing. I just feel like whoever designed Grimace probably shouldn't be in a creative role within the company. Hey Frank, this character you designed for us, what's his thing? Like what is he into? Milkshakes. Oh, what is he? Milkshakes. Okay, what's his name? Milkshakes. Do you say anything besides the word milkshakes? Milkshakes. But I have to admit, I can't say Grimace is the most uncreative food mascot. No, I believe that honor belongs to another, and it's the first soft drink mascot to make my list. But before delving into that, I gotta give a quick shout out to mascots who are simply the anthropomorphic version of the food they're promoting. The sheer laziness of these designs is striking. But there's a particular soft drink mascot that took this creative laziness to the next level. You see, back when the 90s were fast approaching, 7-Up decided they needed a new mascot to appeal to the new generation of kids who were edgy and had attitude. And that's when history was made. Those crazy marketing geniuses at 7-Up said, what if we took limbs, sunglasses, and the beloved red dot from the 7-Up logo, and we brought them all together to create Cool Spot? I'm not f***ing with you. They took the dot from the 7-Up logo, put sunglasses on it, and called it Cool Spot. And then they shoved it in people's faces for a decade. Magazine ads, commercials, multiple video games. That's why I think Cool Spot deserves the title of most uncreative. There was an audacity to the laziness. Almost like they were saying to the world, yeah, we're making a mascot out of a dot. What the f*** are you gonna do about it? And now whoever designed Cool Spot is probably a millionaire. So we started by asking, is Grimace the worst food mascot of all time? Sure, he's bad, but is he the worst? As we've seen, he is a strong contender in each dimension of badness, but he doesn't quite pull out a first place win in any single one of the dimensions. And for that reason, folks, I have no option but to conclude that Grimace is the worst food mascot of all time. By being nearly the worst in every single dimension, but not quite being the worst in any single one of them, that actually somehow makes him the worst as a whole. His badness is greater than the sum of its parts. So Grimace, give yourself a hand. Well, folks, if you think there are some other food mascots that should have gotten top pick for one of the Dimensions of Badness, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, hit that like button and subscribe to join the clubhouse. It's the coolest clubhouse for the coolest people. And if you're thinking, but I'm not a cool person, I can't join, I've got some good news for you. You become cool by joining. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again when I post my next video in the future. Drink your milkshake. I drink it up.